Welcome, everybody. Hello, my name is Kyle Hunt. This is the final 2020 version of the Remodelers Show.
Welcome to the Remodelers Show, hosted by Kyle Hunt.
Now, if you're a frequent viewer of the Remodelers Show, you'll notice, especially if you're watching the video version, that I had my hands up while that was playing. You'll notice that a lot of times I'll hold my phone up and put it up to my microphone to make the sound happen. Oh, but we're getting fancier. We've got this beautiful little Bose microphone or speaker. Got a stack of books that I put it on, and then it plays beautifully. Oh, what did Bailey say? Bailey, oh, that audio is better. Good. Getting instant feedback via text from Bailey. Today we are going to do a little end of year reflections, as it is the final show of the year, as we did survive and live through 2020. I was going to share with you some reflections that I have on the year that was. Now, the person sharing this with you is somebody that has lived through 2020 along with you, that has coached and led and worked to build a community of remodelers, but also a lot of one-on-one coaching and masterminds and whatnot. And as I was thinking through what should we remember and what did we learn from this year, what are some things that we should be reminded of so that we're heading into this next year smarter and better? And I just came up with a list of things that I think are important for us to reflect on and keep in mind. Okay. And I would love along the way for you to share. Well, first you can give some loves and some likes or whatnot. I would love in the comments for you to share some of your end of year reflections. What did you learn this year? What do you need to be reminded of? Are you ready? Okay, let's go. So we're going to start with the chime. So the chime, hang on, I'm playing with my audio here. A little better. Okay, number one of the reflections. What a weird year. What a weird year. If we are to reflect year in and year out, well, it's a presidential year. Therefore, we're going to see this. Well, we saw a lot of things. Most of us never lived through a global pandemic, so we certainly had that in the mix. And I think the weirdest thing for our industry is that while economic indicators, macro, microeconomics, presidential year, pandemic, all of this was going on, for the most part, it's been a pretty okay, good, some might say pretty strong year for a lot of remodelers. As far as our leads, as far as the interest in our services, overall, yes, there's ebbs and flows, but I think from my personal experiences working with a bunch of remodelers, from paying attention to remodelers community and what people are posting, and we've still had a pretty busy year, which is, again, weird. And you have had to deal with it already. You're already running a very complicated, hard business as a remodeler. And now we've added material delays, material escalations, quarantines, and people, testing positive and your schedule being all messed up. What a weird year. I mean, if you're going to do an end of year reflection, you ought to start with the biggest fact out there. What a weird year. I do have just something kind of tie into that though. When it's so weird, when up is down and down is up and everything seems odd, there are two things that come to my mind. One is identifying what the next right thing is, the next right thing. Or this concept of also when it's kind of chaotic and everything's weird, how can you win the next hour? What does it look like to win the next hour? I'll give you kind of a personal example of this. For some reason, Saturdays at the Hunt household are not usually our most enjoyable days. I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out. I think from my vantage point, I'm kind of like, I've been working hard all week and I just want to lay and relax or catch up on things. I think from my wife's standpoint, who's been home with the kids, especially this year, she's kind of like, look, I want Saturdays to be different than the Monday through Friday. Let's work on this project. Let's work on that. And while my wife and I are usually wonderfully harmonious in most all aspects of life, on Saturdays, it has been kind of weird and wonky over the last 6-8 months. So one of the things we've been doing the last couple of weeks is just simply saying, what's the next thing? What's the next right thing for us to work on? Or, how do we win this hour? That was a little obnoxious to her, but the whole next right thing is, it resonated with her. Or what do you want to do for the next hour? Instead of planning out our whole day and making this big list, we've just been focused the last few Saturdays on what do we want to focus on the next hour? And we talk about it, we agree to it, and then we just focus on that. It just simplifies things. When things are weird, when things are wonky, look for little micro goals. One is, what's the next right thing for me to do? Sometimes that helps. And number two, what does it look like to win the next hour? So those are some thoughts and reflections on, number one, what a weird year, and also maybe some advice as well. The chime is quiet. Okay, number two, protect your time. Something that I saw in our industry that just had more interest this year than ever before is this idea that we need to get paid for design and planning. Getting paid for design and planning. Now, the part of this is because when leads are plentiful, if we're not charging for design and planning, we are going to be running around like crazy, or we're going to be putting things together that, don't have a lot of detail to it and signing contracts that have a ton of question marks and allowances. And we know that that's going to lead to a crummy remodeling experience and a project that usually will go over budget and not on schedule. So, boy, this year there has been a renewed interest, a little bit of fist hitting that says, enough, I'm going to start charging for design and development, for design and planning. So that's a little bit of a reflection this year. I would encourage you, if you are somebody that has started dabbling with this, double down on it. If you're somebody that has been something you've been wanting to lean more into, make this upcoming first half of 2021 be the year that you really dig into it. There is a piece of training that I did, a course that I did of 5 sessions that goes deep into this topic that went very well, that really articulates it, the who, what, why, how. So reach out to me if you're interested in learning more about that. But that was another reflection, is that I'm seeing more, and I'm happy about it, of getting paid for design and planning, getting paid for charging for design and development. Oh, we got some commenters. Until we started charging for project and development, we did not realize how much time we were really investing in creating clients, creating estimates for clients. We're so happy to be headed in the right direction for our company. Absolutely, Michaela. Your internet connection may be poor unless it's just on my end. Ruh-roh. Hopefully that's not the case. Let me just kind of close out of a few things so that my computer might not be chugging as much. And we'll see if that improves. Okay. Now, Jim, you said he's talking to you, Michaela. Ooh, I hope it was nice. That may have been, I think, Michaela, you may have been putting in that project development conversation before I got to it. We're going to move on to number 3. Your team. As I reflect on 2020, I am reminded of the importance for each one of you of your team. The old great Michigan coach, Bo Schembechler, was once quoted, the team, the team, the team. Everything's about the team. Pretty good mentality to have as a business owner in general and as a remodeler. And what I wrote on here as I reflect on it is make sure they feel the love and are growing. When you're really busy, it's hard to make sure you're carving out the time, making the time to sit down one-on-one for 10 minutes with one of your employees, to make the point that once a week you have a little lunch with one of your employees, that you are sending random text messages showing your appreciation, that you're picking up the phone and saying, hey, we haven't talked in a little while. I just want to check and see how you're doing. Those little things and those purposeful things that you should be doing as you lead your remodeling business is incredibly important. Guess what? Newsflash. 2021, 22, 23, 24, it ain't going to get much better or easier to find good help. It's not going to get better. Kyle, that was not very uplifting, but it's the reality. right? There's fewer for every 10 solid carpenters in their 60s. There's 2 20-something-year-old carpenters, right? It's going to continually, year in and year out, be a hard thing. It's not going to magically fix itself. And to me, what that means is, boy, when you get somebody on your team that's solid, when you have a team that you are impressed by and that's doing good work, or even somebody that's got potential, you better pour into them. You better pour into them. We can't afford to just let them slip away, not feel like they're appreciated, not feel like they've got a path for growth in your business. Okay. So that's a reflection of just the importance of making sure your team is feeling the love and are growing. I assume that chime is quite quiet. If I could get some feedback on my new setup with the speaker. By the way, we bought this Bose speaker. You know, there's something to be said for paying a little bit extra for something really nice instead of paying kind of something for something kind of crummy. Man, there's a difference between a Bose speaker and other speakers. I highly encourage you. I'm not getting paid for that endorsement, but just so you know. The chime is too quiet. Oh, Nelly, then we're kicking it old school. This experiment, Bailey, I would say needs some work. Here we go. Now we're talking. Listen to that. There, now we got some chiming. Okay, so what a weird year. Protect your time, your team. Number 4, it kind of ties in a little bit with number 3. Deepen your bench. A reflection that I'm seeing this year that I'm more convinced of at the end of 2020 than the beginning, that I'm a lot more passionate about, is that you always have to be recruiting. You have to understand as a remodeler that your efforts that you put towards the sales process and taking a lead and converting it into a paying project and all of the things you do and the consistency in your marketing, all that work you put in, you got to put a similar amount of effort and work into always recruiting. This can be for your in-house team. This can also be when it comes to your trade partners. Some of you call them subcontractors. They're not sub anything. Let's call them trade partners. But you always need to be deepening your bench. If you have just one electrician, that's a problem. They have all the leverage, and you're at their mercy. You definitely need a second. Sometimes it makes sense to even have a third option. And the way that you do that is you're always recruiting. You're always talking to that great drywaller that you have. Hey, do you know anybody that does framing work? Do you know anybody that does electrical work? And don't just assume that because you know that they're busy, that they're not interested in talking to you. Things change quickly. So be active with always recruiting. Work to deepen your bench. I just think it's an incredibly important thing. And as I reflect on 2020, it was a theme that kept coming up in a variety of different ways. And I wanted to share it as point number 4 on the end of your reflections. The ding just ain't got the ring, but now it does. Okay, sometimes simple is better. The 5th thing that I would like to share on the 2020 end of year reflections is this thought that says confidence is so key. Confidence is so key. This is one of those things that is an intangible that kind of flows underneath the radar that is such a key to success. How do you create more of it? How do I build my confidence in what I charge, in how I lead, in how I handle conflicts between my team, and how I overcome objections that people have during the sales process, how I handle a problem that arises on a job site. When you think of all those different times that you're running into a situation, being confident that you're going to take good care of the person you're talking to, that you can work your way through it, that that the way that you're handling it is appropriate and strong. Confidence. How do you build confidence? Part of it comes from experience, but also part of it comes to point number 6, which is we're not investing enough in training and coaching. Well, Kyle, that's a cute one. You're a business coach and you do a lot of training. Well, yes, I do. But I'm convinced that through training and coaching, I don't care if that's a $20 book that you buy, a $1,000 course that you buy, one-on-one coaching that you buy, whatever it is. We build confidence when we are learning new things, implementing new things, when we are getting confirmation that we're on the right path about something, when we're hearing a different way of handling something. Back to like point number 2 of getting paid for design and planning. The reason that Michaela has implemented that is because her confidence has blossomed because she's gotten coaching and training in it. And the reason I also bring this up is because I think through in my own business, there's areas that I've grown in my confidence. And when I trace it back, it's because I'm learning. I've hired a coach to help me with that. I'm surrounding myself with a mastermind of other coaches and consultants and learning from them. So this number 5 of when I reflect of, man, confidence is hard to pin down, but it's such an important facet of business success. How do you get more of it? You've got to invest in training and coaching. Maybe you don't pay a dime, but you be brave and reach out to that person that you respect in the industry and say, can we talk for an hour? Rob Bauer, I almost said stick in Rob Bauer. Rob Bauer in his Facebook group offers to talk to people free of charge for like 45 minutes, no strings attached. Great mentor, somebody that's been through it. You can ask questions to. So there's no excuse like, well, I don't have money to hire this person, or I don't have the funds to do this. Don't give me this. I don't have the time. Right? There's all kinds of opportunities for you to get more training and coaching. There are so many podcasts. There are so many free videos on YouTube from a variety of smart business coaches. So I just want, as I reflect on 2020, confidence is so key. I think the biggest way that you build your confidence is you learn, you improve, you see what others are doing. I got a little animated there, but you guys like it when I get animated. What else do we got in here? Knowledge in your numbers increases confidence in sales. That is true. I'm coming up maybe on something related to the numbers here. This person said, believe in yourself. Darn right. Darn right. Okay, so we're cruising through this this final. There's a maiden voyage when you start out. What is the equivalent of the final voyage? Is it just called the final voyage, or is there a fancy word like? There's the maiden voyage, and then there's the voyage. As we're doing that final version of whatever that is, you guys are about to help me out with that, of end of year reflections. We covered number 1, what a weird year. We talked about just focusing on the next right thing so as to not get overwhelmed. Talked about the importance of protecting your time, your most valuable asset. Number 3, talked about your team, making sure they feel the love and are growing. Talked about number 4, deepen your bench, always be recruiting. You just heard me yell a little bit about confidence being so key, that we aren't investing enough in training and coaching. Let me pause there, give you a breath. As you reflect on 2020, in the comments, I see you people here live. What's a reflection that you have? Sometimes if I suck all the oxygen out of the conversation and I'm moving to the next thing, I don't give you guys time to write something that you have. And by golly, a lot of times when you guys write something, it's even better than what I have. We'll just sit here and let that percolate for a second. As we do, if you do look at out the bottom, scrolling, it says your previous clients miss hearing from you. Remodelersautopilot.com. Try it for $1. I just had an email from Remodeler this morning that said, I'm going to take you up on signing up for Remodelers Autopilot. And he was like, look, I might just do it for a month, but I want to see kind of how it works and what it looks like and see if it's going to be a good fit for me. And I said, that's wonderful. His name's Aaron. So you can try it for $1. I think you'll like it. And it works. Okay. So hopefully you guys will toss me some comments there, but I'm going to move on to number 7. Number 7 in the year-end reflections is know your numbers. By the way, this is the end of year reflection also in 2032. We will still be emphasizing the importance of knowing your numbers. Or maybe when I'm like, maybe I'll be Michael Stoning it still in like 19, be there in my early 70s and still cranking this out. That would be like 2055. Guess what? We're still going to be talking about this. And the part of it that I am just really reflecting on here recently is the job costing portion of it. The job costing portion of it. And hopefully you've heard me talk about it a little bit. And I'm just going to share again. In 2021, it is going to be extremely important that you lock down your job costing. Why is it important this year? Because as I am pushing my clients to do more job costing, they're realizing what they kind of already knew, which is what they put in for materials on a lot of their projects, early in the year, mid-year. When they actually look at the actual results of it, they're seeing, wow, that really ate into my gross profit on this project. Those materials ended up costing more than I was expecting. They knew it. They knew the materials were going up a little bit from what they had put in their bid, but a lot of you chose not to necessarily pass that on to the client. But when you're doing the job costing, you see that clearly. When you're doing the job costing, all you're really doing is comparing what you expected to make versus what you actually made. When it comes to your in-house labor, here's what I was expecting to make. A lot of times that also ties in with just an overall number of hours you had available for the project. And here's what the actual was. In order to do that, you need your team to be tracking their hours on specific projects. You need a little bit of a system in order to do that, but you're fully capable of that. And then the two other areas, we're going to look at what we were expecting our cost to be in materials and what our actual cost was. The expected should be right there on your estimate sheet. The actual should be able to be pulled from QuickBooks, because every transaction you put into QuickBooks is getting tagged to a specific job. And we also have our trade partners. Here's what I was expecting to make in gross profit on my trade partners. Here's what the actual was. I need you guys, you need to do this consistently. It makes you a better estimator. It makes you a better production manager, or your team, whoever's doing production management, better. It builds your confidence. It helps you understand why you need to charge what you charge. When you start understanding the true cost of an extra trip to the lumberyard, when you start to understand the true cost of missing that little part on your estimate and it costing you another $135, it helps you in so many different areas of your business to have your job costing locked down. So when I reflect on 2020, yes, we need to know our numbers overall. You need to be able to read your P&L statement. But in particular, I was not kind when I typed this. Most of you still stink at job costing, and we need to get better at it. Be encouraged to do that. Dig in and make it happen. Okay. It's a nice reflection. What do we got here? We got believe in yourself. We got we are resilient. I like that. What was the question again? The question was, what's an item that you have on your end of year reflection? And then no matter what happened, we stayed the course and ended the year down, but still profitable. That's good. That's good. There was a lot of staying the course. There was a lot of being patient. There was a lot of still having hope and faith that things are going to, come to fruition. You've been dealing with a lot. Hopefully some of you who got some PPP funds, just a little December 22nd. Oh, it was almost really cool. Just a little 12:22 at 12:22 moment, but it's actually 12:24 Eastern Standard Time. It sounds like if this next little stimulus or big bill, whatever you want to call it, gets signed by the Senate and passes the Trumpster's desk, that the PPP funds that you may have received earlier in the year, while all indication from the IRS up to this point has been that, yes, you will be able to deduct expenses that you paid using those PPP funds. But before, the IRS saying, but you will be taxed on the income from the PPP. So if you receive $50,000 of PPP dollars, that $50,000 would show up as income, taxable income at the end of the year. This bill that's going through there is allowing you to deduct expenses that are appropriately deductible and not have the income be taxable. Almost a little bit of a double benefit there. So that's what it's looking like it's going to turn into. So hopefully that's a little bit of, that can be a big impact on how your overall tax liability and your overall numbers look here as you wrap up the year. So again, I am not a lawyer. I am not a CPA. It is not officially signed, but it's looking good. It's looking good. All right. Number eight is as I reflect on 2020, the importance of your mental health, the importance of your physical health. Don't overlook it. On the mental health side, we have just been, one of my clients described it a few weeks ago, and I think it appropriately so. On the whole, election season, COVID, everything, there's just this low-level depression that we're all feeling. Not able to get together, as easily and readily as we can, not knowing what's going to happen next, just dealing with all of the drama of election season, the difficulties of the pandemic. And don't take that lightly. Take that seriously. You've got to carve out time for you, for your own mental health, for some days off, to make sure that you're doing things that you can enjoy doing. Jekyll and Hyde of the last 2 nights. 2 nights ago, I was prepping for the week and knocked out a bunch of emails from like that time and prep from that time from like 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Last night, I sat down at the kitchen table and my wife and I taught our 2 older kids how to play euchre. If you don't know how to play euchre, first of all, you're probably not from the Midwest. Second of all, it's just a great game. And that hour and a half flew by. Once they kind of got the concept of it, we really enjoyed it. And it was good for my mental health to just kind of have fun with my kids. That's one little example, right? And we have to work to make sure that we're doing little things that are helpful, enjoyable for us, that take our mind off of everything else going on. So I wanted to share that. And then also your physical health. This is a reminder year in and year out. But I think especially this year, I was just talking to a client here recently who just has a lot of stress and anxiety right now. And one of the things that he said was, I got to move my body more. I've got to work out. I know that's going to help my overall, mental health and my stress level. I know that because it's helped me in the past. But a lot of times when we're stressed, we'd rather eat that donut than exercise. So just that reminder as I reflect on 2020, mental health and physical health, don't overlook it. I've got a couple more because we have a couple minutes. I'll rapid fire a little bit. Number 9, document the process. I have seen a lot more remodelers have fun with the content. Okay. And when I say document the process, don't overthink your content creation. There are things that are interesting that you're doing, even in your office, even in front of 2020 your chief architect, even as you help a client navigate choosing this tile versus that tile. Even out on the job sites, there's so many interesting things going on. Don't overthink it. And just document the process. And especially lately, I've been seeing more of my clients embrace having a little bit of fun in their content. You do realize that the Remodelers Show would not be as enjoyable for you if I was just really serious. Now, this is my personality. I like having fun, but you guys have to embrace a little bit of that too. There's a lot of you who are super fun, super interesting on the one-to-one basis, and then you get all stiff and serious when you create content for your business. As that Princess Anna, is it Princess Anna or Elsa? Let it go, loosen up a little bit. Yes, in case you're wondering, I'm an excellent singer. Have fun with your content. As I reflect this year, I saw more of that. I want to see even more of that in 2021. That's what's going to stand out. That's what people are going to enjoy. And that's a muscle that you need to keep working on. How do I create interesting, compelling, fun content? It doesn't need me a joke a minute, but bring some fun to it. Bring some energy to it. Okay, so that's a little reminder. Number 10, on the business. I am more convinced at the end of the year than I was at the start of the year that we need more focus on fewer things. More focus on fewer things. If you think about how much time you have to work on the business, most likely it's probably like 10% of your overall work time, if not less. And what we try to do with that 10% of time is to do like 6 or 7 different on-business things, which means we get 20% of the way here on this, 20% of the way here on this, but we don't really fully get things implemented. I am more convinced as I reflect on this year that we need to focus more on fewer things. Does that make sense? So if you're planning some goals for 2021, more focus, fewer things. That is a key thing to success. Amy says, there's been so many webinars and podcasts this year with noteworthy content. We need to take the time to re-listen and absorb all those good business nuggets. That's true, Amy. A lot of times we will just get excited about the next thing, the next thing. If you listen to a piece of content from me, from someone else that really resonated, Amy, in your case, probably some of those Michael and David podcasts, because you love the design stuff and how they're approaching that. I know you resonate with that. But go back and listen to those, right? Go back and listen to those, because listening a second or third time is going to deepen that understanding of it, and you're going to implement more when you listen to things more than one time versus, it's kind of like marketing. If I'm going to do a postcard campaign to 1,000 ideal clients, do I send one postcard to 1,000 people? Or if I only have enough money or enough time, do I send 3 postcards to 333 people? It's going to be more effective to hit a smaller group multiple times, similar to this. If you have some content that really resonated with you, if you have a book that really resonated with you, re-listen to it and absorb that, and it's going to impact you even more. So that's a good one, Amy. Cool. And then number 11, I'm just very grateful for this community. The Remodelers Show was birthed. It's a funny word. Was birthed in 2020. Little idea that I actually got from my friend and colleague Dan Bauman, who's a chief experts. He's excellent with chief architect. He started doing it once a week. And for a while there, I was doing it every day. I was like, Dan, that's a great idea. I like that you're doing it once a week. I'm going to do it every day, Monday through Friday. And we did that for several months. The pace has slowed a little bit. Our goal in 2020 is to do it twice a week. But it has been a fun way to consistently get ideas that I have and reminders in front of you. I love your guys' feedback. I appreciate that. And it's just been fun to hopefully provide some content that, yes, is entertaining at times, but also is really making an impact on your life and business. And I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate your time and attention. I don't take that lightly. And I'll keep working hard on my end. You guys keep working hard on your end. We'll keep building community. One of these days, we'll set up a thing to get together in person once this pandemic is over. That'll be fun. And have a wonderful Christmas, a wonderful New Year's. And we will talk to you soon, I am sure. Take care.